the other candidate for president, the incumbent president, was in Detroit over the weekend on Friday, and trying to resuscitate his campaign and stave off the Mensheviks that would depose him. In Detroit, President Biden had this to say. This is becoming part of the embedded talking points of the left.
That's what Project 2025 is calling about. Project 2025 will deploy the Department of Justice to prosecute Trump's enemies.
He's not quite well versed in that talking point yet, but he's trying to get out Project 2025 as a problem. That's, Trump's Mein Kampf, to continue the Hitler comparison that the left routinely makes. So that's one issue we want to discuss with Stephen Bucci, Project 2025, which we had before, but it's getting more profile in the Heritage Foundation's response. I love, and by the way, I understand some gay furry hacking outfit has hacked into Project 2025, and
was this at a furry convention?
No, there's a gay furry hacking group called like SigDesec or something like this, and they announced that they hacked the Project 2025. Gay furry hackers took credit for hacking the Heritage Foundation in search of Project 2025 plans. Why do you need to search for them? It's 900 pages that I could access right now. They've got a PDF and everything, table of contents. You can read the whole thing.
928 pages, yes.
So anyway, SigDesec. They're a gay furry computer hacking group. So we have that going on too. On to the attempted assassination of President Trump. There's a lot of takes on the failure of Secret Service or the combination of Secret Service and law enforcement. One from an alleged military intel person. This is posted on X, so I can't verify this, but this is akin to some of the arguments you're hearing from people that are credentialed in the security space, either military or law enforcement. He writes, the guilty parties are definitely one the counter snipers and spotters assigned to cover these specific rooftops, and the team leader responsible for all event pre-planning and assigning lines of sight. There is zero chance that a standard sniper spotter team tasked with covering such a critical rooftop did not spot a man crawling for over 2 minutes on an exposed rooftop with a rifle. The shooter's approach was amateurish. It wouldn't even pass basic training. He was fully exposed, easily visible to the public, on a critical rooftop, and extremely slow. Right, the eyewitnesses that identified him. Drone surveillance is also standard procedure. Added to this, you have members of the public pointing out the shooter. The only reason not to spot the shooter is that it was willfully ignored by the assigned counter-sniper spotter, or a portion of the total area to be covered was deliberately excluded by the event team leader, or the sniper and spotters were misdirected. And the another argument that's being advanced is, they were the counter snipers are looking 1,000 yards away, and this guy's within 150 yards, and that's supposed to be sort of the intermediate security ring that is primarily staffed by local law enforcement working in conjunction with Secret Service. So these are just some of the suppositions that are out there. We don't have enough information to know what the answers are. We don't have the details on the reported confrontation between local law enforcement and the shooter when he was on the roof, turned his rifle on the officer retreated, then he turned back towards his target and opened fire. That seems to be, that's the reporting. I don't know if that's accurate, but that's the Associated Press reporting it. So still a lot of fog of war trying to figure out exactly what happened and who failed to do their duty.
We do know the shooter used his father's rifle. That was confirmed. That was purchased 6 months ago, and that he was rejected by his high school's rifle team because they considered him a bad shot and a danger to other students.
Stephen Bucci served America for 3 decades as Army Special Forces, an officer, and top Pentagon official. He's now a visiting fellow in the Heritage Foundation's Allison Center for Foreign Policy Studies, where he cooks up extremist plots like Project 2025. Stephen Bucci, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
It's always my pleasure to be on the show, particularly when there's important news like this.
So tell us, I don't want to lead you anywhere. Just give us your perspective on Secret Service, law enforcement, what the people responsible for securing that site and the president did or didn't do on Saturday, in your estimation?
Well, look, I'm not trying to throw anybody under the bus, but the purpose of a counter sniper team is to spot a sniper and deal with them before they shoot. Obviously, in this case, that's not what happened. So it's however anybody wants to look at it, that's a fail, right? Not saying we don't know the intent. We don't know if there was some collusion somewhere. All that's got to be shaken out by an investigation. I saw one news thing allegedly from the sniper, counter sniper that was closer to the shooter than the other one, was on the end building. And he said, hey, I saw the guy. I had him in my sights. For 3 minutes, I was requesting permission to shoot, and the Secret Service lead wouldn't let me shoot. He was a local Pennsylvania policeman of some sort. I can't confirm that. I just saw one story with that in it. It requires more investigation. The performance by the close protection team, I know there's some parsing on the edges. Some people don't like the fact that he had small women on his team and they all should be as big as him. Well, that doesn't always happen that way. The principal does get to have some influence on it. The Secret Service hates that. They want the principal to always move when they say move. President Trump's a pretty, forceful personality. He said, no, I've got to stop, and they stopped. They can work that out. That's tactics, techniques, and procedures at the Secret Service level.
Well, don't they? But they're spread so thin. I mean, Secret Service agents would already, we're in Milwaukee setting up for the RNC and getting ready for that. We have Secret Service agents already in Chicago. They have been here for months getting ready for the DNC. So isn't it a personnel issue? Like, we need more Secret Service agents?
Well, you need more on President Trump, sure. There is newer stories coming out that the director of the Secret Service made the decision to pull some of the personnel from Trump's detail to augment the detail on Biden, who was doing a event in Pittsburgh at the same time. I don't know that for sure. That's what I've seen. All that's got to be investigated. We can't make presumptions that everything was okay or everything was totally screwed up until we actually dig into it. That should be done with transparency and not behind the curtain, as unfortunately it is so often done.
Well, I mean, yeah, I don't know that it was not enough personnel on site. It's what that personnel did or didn't do. Also, what the rules of engagement are. I mean, Susan Crabtree, reporting at RealClearPolitics.com, writes this: a source within the Secret Service community tells Real Clear Politics that the agency rules of engagement in this situation are to wait until the president is fired upon to return fire. You want to take a shot and then find out the guy was holding a telescope, the source suggested. The Secret Service is by nature reactive, and you better be right when you do react or you're effed. I mean, can you confirm or deny that that is the rules of engagement protocol for Secret Service, that guy who said I had the shooter in my sight had to wait for him to fire? I mean, that's crazy.
I think that's crazy, too. But remember, I'm a military guy, not a Secret Service agent. They do operate differently. So I cannot confirm or deny that is their rules of engagement. But remember, if you look at the close protection detail, the first thing they did was not draw their guns and face outwardly. The first thing they do is create a barrier around the president with their bodies.
Right.
Other people then come in. You saw the guys jump up on the stage in the black tactical gear with long guns. That is part of the Secret Service, but that's the second step. You protect the principal, and then you start looking to eliminate the threat. The sniper teams, like that, if that's their rules of engagement, that's really odd. They're not regular police. These are people specifically designed to protect high-value targets, like the political leadership of our country. Those sniper teams or counter sniper teams really should have a little more aggressive view than that. And if somebody is stupid enough to crawl up on a roof with a telescope, you're putting yourself at risk.
Of course.
That's like being near the president and pulling out your cell phone real fast and reaching it up, holding it like a gun. You're going to get shot potentially.
Well, Ian, even if you're waiting for the high sign to neutralize the threat, I mean, it shouldn't take however long that it took. If the guy was in position and ready to take him out after he saw him on that rooftop, but there are other questions that abound too, and you may have your own. One of them is were drones used, infrared? I mean, how do you miss this guy, climbing up on a roof with a ladder, people pointing to him, and the reaction time being as slow as it was? I mean, don't you have other assets in addition to personnel that you're using to make sure that you've got eyes on the entire area of concern?
Well, I know the Secret Service has access to those kind of technical tools. I don't know for sure if they were using them in this particular case. Remember, guys, this is the campaign season, plus the convention starting here this week. It's the Secret Service will have been stretched pretty thinly. But I'm not making excuses for them. That's just another factor in the investigation that has to be looked at.
Yeah, but I just want to know what agency was responsible for outside the perimeter. If it was Pennsylvania State Police, if it was or their sheriffs in that county there, I mean, do we know?
Well, ultimately,
why wasn't there an officer on every rooftop?
Ultimately, it's Secret Service, right? Secret Service has command control of the space, and local law enforcement is complementary. Is that right?
That is correct. Those assets all come under the command of the Secret Service in one of these situations, or any national security special event. Like inaugurations, things like that. The Secret Service comes in and they are in charge. They order the military around in those situations. We would give them assets, and the Secret Service is responsible for deploying them. So this is you're never going to figure it out 2 days after the event. You've got to dig in, and truth be told, you're talking about human beings. There's going to be people who are trying to cover their you-know-whats along the way if they made a mistake or if they did anything less than perfect performance. Clearly, we were at the less than perfect performance here in this situation. Now we need to find out where the ball was dropped, why the ball was dropped. Was it just a mistake? Or did someone say, well, I don't really like this son of a gun anyway. I'm not going to take any action. You don't know what it is and what level that thinking may have infiltrated the minds of the participants.
So we have months.
We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, we have months of campaigning left, a number of rallies. Are they going to put Trump and Biden, if Biden even has rallies, behind bulletproof glass? Are they going to change the way they do business?
I don't know. That seems to be a part of the discussion, particularly going into the conventions. Are we going to do something different? How many people are we going to use? Are we going to force them to reconfigure the stage setups and that sort of thing? There's a lot of questions still to be answered.
Yeah, and the investigative body, the special agent in charge of the Pittsburgh field office, the FBI, Thomas Massey, Republican from Kentucky, congressman, the same bureau that investigated the Las Vegas shooting and the January 6th pipe bombs, is now investigating the attempted assassination of Trump. This is also the same bureau that raided Mar-a-Lago. I'm sure they'll get to the bottom of this soon. If you not picking up on it, that's sarcasm. So the confidence you have in the FBI getting to the truth of the matter here on what happened on Saturday and providing some direction in terms of responsible parties.
Well, I've had in my professional career nothing but good experiences working with the FBI. That all preceded all the craziness of what's occurred in the incidents you just mentioned and some of the other testimony we've heard where you sit there and scratch your head and say, I thought this guy was on our side, being Americans, not anything else. And I hope that that gentleman from Pittsburgh, the special agent in charge, seems to be a pretty squared away fella. I guess we'll have to wait and see that. But this is the way our system is set up. And with this kind of event, the FBI are the lead investigators until somebody, maybe on Capitol Hill changes it. But that hasn't occurred yet. So that's what we got, and we need to keep an eye on it.
Addressing President Biden's feeble attempt in Detroit to demagogue Project 2025, the Heritage Foundation's Project 2025, also in the Wall Street Journal over the weekend. Project 2025 has a radical agenda for Trump. He has other plans, Trump distancing himself from the particulars of Project 2025. Your response to the elevated attention being given to Project 2025 at the Heritage Foundation?
Well, personally, I think this is a major fallout of Biden's difficulties after the debate. They're desperately trying to get the focus on something other than President Biden's cognitive difficulties and performance difficulties. Look, Project 2025, if you look at it, one, it's done by think tanks, Heritage and 100 other think tanks and conservative organizations. It's not something that is designed to order the president to do something. There's policy suggestions. President Reagan famously picked up, this analogous document that we did in 1980, right at the beginning of Heritage's cycle, and said, this is how we're going to run the government. Did he really run the government exactly that way? No. He took a lot of ideas from it and applied them, and they worked pretty well. And we're hoping at Heritage that a conservative president will do the same thing. This was all written apart from the Trump campaign. It's not part of it. They've never played a role in it. It's a policy recommendation document, which frankly looks a heck of a lot like mainstream Republican positions for the most part. I laugh when they say, they're going to cancel the Constitution and they're going to gut this and gut that, and they point to the Department of Education, which frankly, conservatives have hated the Department of Education since they founded it and have been trying to get rid of it since then. This is not a new idea that suddenly Dr. Roberts came up with, last week. It is the biggest example of hyperbole I've ever seen in politics. It's just filled with lies and pearl clutching and swooning. It's a bunch of baloney. Read the document. It's there for public consumption and has been since it was published.
All right. Well,
so the gay furries didn't have to break into.
I'm just saying the gay furries at CSEC said that Project 25 is an authoritarian Christian nationalist plan to reform the United States government. Well, reform the United States government. That's not very frightening. But anyway, just heads up on the gay furry hackers if they're not on your radar yet, Stephen.
No, sometimes I can't believe some of the things we have in our country.
Indeed.
Gay furry hackers being one of them.
Yeah, it's a subculture, yes.
You didn't study that when you were in the U.S. Army, about the gay furry hackers? Stephen Bucci.
Apparently there's some in the Army.
Well, yeah. It's probably on the Joint Chiefs these days. Stephen Bucci served America for 3 decades as an Army Special Forces officer, top Pentagon official. Now he's a visiting fellow at the Heritage Foundation's Allison Center for Foreign Policy Studies. Thank you as always, Stephen.
Take care. Thanks for having me, and we'll talk to you next week.
Thank you. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
This is the morning show more Chicago radio listeners are choosing. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
You've heard Rumpke's Garage commercials on AM 560, and now they specialize in servicing Sprinters and light-duty diesels. But the experts at Rumpke's also service Isuzu and Chevy low-cab forward trucks. So if you own an Isuzu or Chevy low-cab forward truck but aren't sure where to get it repaired, take it to Rumpke's Garage, your #1 dealer alternative for repairs to your Isuzu NPR, Isuzu F-Series, or Chevy low-cab forward truck. Whether gas or diesel, your truck is the lifeline of your business. That's why Rumpke's Garage offers free loaners while your truck is being serviced. They'll even pick up and deliver for your convenience. Rumpke's Garage has the factory scan tool to properly diagnose Isuzu and Chevy low-cab forward trucks. Their commitment to your business is backed with a complimentary maintenance plan and free 2-year warranty.